4 states declaring a state of emergency already tonight as this monster hurricane now bears down on the East Coast. Late today, we learned winds are now reaching up to 140 miles per hour already, a Category 4. Millions now bracing for impact, and at this point, it looks like Florence will slam into the Carolinas Thursday, late afternoon, right into the evening. There are a couple of things very worrying about this hurricane. First, it is still growing larger in size and in strength. And once it slams ashore, there's a good chance it'll be held there by another system right in place, dropping several feet of rain. The first Cat 4 in the region since 1954. And ABC senior meteorologist Rob Marciano leads us off tonight. He's live in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. Rob, what does the latest track show?
Well, it hasn't changed a whole lot, David, and unfortunately, Florence has followed the models and rapidly intensify into a dangerous hurricane. Those words from the National Hurricane Center at 5 p.m. tells you how serious this situation is. All right, let's break it down. As you mentioned, a Category 4 now with 140-mile-an-hour winds. There's a satellite. There's the eye. Classic buzzsaw signature, a formidable storm. The wind field is doubling, expected to remain a 4 or 5 right up until landfall, which will be at this point between 2 and 10 p.m. on Thursday. That's when the worst of it's going to be. But don't focus on that line because effects are going to be wide from South Carolina all the way through Virginia. Storm surge, damaging flooding, and damaging winds. And the flooding, as you mentioned, it's going to put the brakes on. We could see over 20 inches of rainfall as far inland as West Virginia. As we've seen in the past, that's when we can possibly see the catastrophic flood event. David?
So between 2 and 10 p.m. Thursday, but as you point out, Rob, this could just sit there and dump rain, very similar to Harvey a year ago. And in the meantime, Rob, we know this area is no stranger to hurricanes. You were telling us, actually, that the pier off over your shoulder there was actually destroyed by back-to-back hurricanes back in ¡96.
Yeah, Hurricane Fran and Bertha. Back then it was wood. It was actually built in the 30s originally, but now it's been rebuilt in 2002 as solid concrete, shutting 1,200 feet out into the Atlantic Ocean. And by the time Thursday rolls around, that new engineering is going to be put to the test for sure. David?
Along with so many families who live there in the region, we are thinking about them all. Rob, our thanks to you. And millions are already trying to get out of the path tonight. A mass exodus underway, mandatory evacuation set to kick in, ordered for low-lying areas in 3 states. More than 1 million people on the move. The U.S. Navy tonight is also moving some 30 ships from Norfolk, Virginia, out of harm's way. And tonight, the scene at so many stores shows families are taking this very seriously, as they should. ABC's Steve Osunsami is in Folly Beach, South Carolina tonight.
Across the Carolinas, the lines to get gas tonight are long.
You can see people lined up at the gas station there, filling up before the storm.
Authorities say if you live on the coast, tonight is the time to start packing. This is Highway 17 in North Carolina, already backed up for miles. Under the mandatory evacuation, more than 1 million people in the region will need to leave their homes.
We do know that we're in the bullseye. North Carolina is taking Hurricane Florence seriously, and you should too.
At the stores, there's a run on flashlights, gas cans, and water. Even the life vests are gone.
This one looks a little uglier than other ones. Rather be safe than sorry.
At a fire station we visited today, they were running out of sandbags.
Even if the storm misses us, I'm going to flood.
So tell me, how rough is this?
Well, first hurricane.
This is your first?
First.
This is what they're running from, as seen from the International Space Station. From Maryland to the Carolinas, a state of emergency.
It's going to be inconvenient, but we do not want to risk one South Carolina life in this hurricane.
In Virginia, the Navy is sending out 2 aircraft carriers and more than 24 other ships to sea to ride out the storm. The hurricane is still days out, but the high water is already here on Hatteras Island this evening, flooding their roads. This is why authorities say residents can't stay.
So let's get to Steve. He joins us from the South Carolina coast tonight. And Steve, as you said, more than 1 million people will be on the move, and authorities warning this is no joke. They're taking extreme measures to help people evacuate.
That's right, David. The governor of South Carolina says that all lanes of Interstate 26 headed from Charleston to Columbia will be going in one direction, and that is away from the coast. Also, he says that families in 8 counties will have to start leaving their homes tomorrow at noon. David?
All right, Steve, our thanks to both you and Rob. And of course, we will be on this all week long.